Welcome to the 2022 Bet Victor English Open, live from the Brentwood Centre, here in Essex. Please put your hands together and welcome our players and officials to the arena.
Good afternoon. Well, it feels like snooker's come home here this week because we're in Essex, one of the most vibrant areas for the sport in the UK. It's where Steve Davis down the road in Romford ruled for many years, Ronnie O'Sullivan from Chigwell, and here in Brentwood, it's the home of Matchroom. Barry Hearn, the president of the World Snooker Tour, of course, has had his empire here for 40 years, and he is the reason we've come to this venue.
Andrew Pagett.
So it promises to be a great week. Already really good crowds, despite the weather. And the good news is there will not be any penalties. So settle back, keep warm and enjoy the snooker as Andrew Pagett gets us underway. He's up against it clearly, but in fact they've only played once. He did win that previous meeting in the European Tour event a decade ago, 10 years now, 2012. Neil Robertson already this season has been a semi-finalist in the first two Home Nations events, the Northern Ireland Open and of course just last week the Scottish Open, where he lost to Joe O'Connor despite making 3 centuries, but he comes in of course as the defending champion. Firstly, we're glad to see the players have made it. Obviously there's been various problems with the weather and still some players racing to get here for later on. Neil Robertson of course has had problems getting to venues when the weather's not been bad, but anyway he's here and he'll be determined to make a successful start, not least because in the background, as Neil said earlier, Neil Foles, that is the World Grand Prix. This is the cut-off for that. Robertson's 26th on that list. The top 32 get in, so if he lost this match he could be in trouble. Anyway, Alan, we're looking forward to the week.
Yeah, it's good to be back, isn't it? I say back because I played here many moons ago. Actually, I played Jimmy White himself actually in the final of the Matchroom League back in the day. So I've got fond memories of it. Yeah, it's good to be in a sort of hotbed of snooker, but not a hotbed for tournaments, isn't it? But yeah, it's an interesting first feature match we have here with Neil, obviously in good form on the back of a good run up in Edinburgh a couple of weeks back. And good to see Andrew Pagett getting an opportunity. He's had a poor season thus far, hasn't he? He hasn't won any knockout matches, but on the main table, big occasion, big opponent, and a big day for him to hopefully get his season up and running.
He's already just given Robertson a little bit to think about, with Reds having gone down the table. Andrew Pagett actually had success yesterday. He won one of the Open Series events on the World Seniors Tour in Newbury, so he's come in literally just having won a tournament. That's got to give you a boost of confidence. Obviously much lower down the sort of pecking order, if you like, but the fact is he won it just yesterday. That's the best practice you can get, really, playing proper matches. Well, he has given Robertson some sort of opening here. When, of course, the last 3 frames last year, the Australian to beat John Higgins in the final. And indeed, 2 years ago, he lost in a decider to Judd Trump. He broke off in the decider, Robertson, and that was the only shot he got, because Trump made a century to win 9-8.
1.
Libby Martial just cleaning the cue ball. We have 4 tables. John Higgins is on table 2. Big match, well, big week for him because he's had such a bad season that in terms of that World Grand Prix, he's basically got to get to the final to get in it. So it's a big aspect. Maybe that'll inspire him to finally get going this campaign. Already today, Mark Selby, Shao Tong and Barry Hawkins have won. So all the big hitters through so far.
Six.
Yeah, the match we had this morning on this very table that finished only about 20 minutes ago, Mark Selby, he just about cemented his place in the Grand Prix with a 4-3 win, didn't he? So
7.
his opponent there, Nopon Singh Kam, will have to play the waiting game over the next few days to find out whether he's going to sneak a spot. Well, a good pot there by Neil Robertson, getting the cue ball into the open, but a little bit unlucky with the cannon.
Green ball. Neil Robertson, 7.
Having to settle for safety. I think so many of the leading players love to sort of make a statement early on in a match, win a frame in one visit straight away, just show their opponent they're on it, but Robertson, no choice there but to run for cover. Amazing to think this is the first ranking event in Essex because it's the 399th that's ever been staged. So it's taken a long time to come to what is a real hotbed for the sport. Pagett was looking a little concerned there. Doesn't look like he's left him anything easy, put it that way.
Yeah, that attempted safety shot as much as anything went completely wrong. I was just about to say it might be not the worst thing for it to be quite a scrappy opening frame for Andrew, because the main table does play differently. It's something that was spoken about in recent weeks. And of course, he wouldn't have played on a main table for quite some time. So to get a bit of table time might be valuable going forward in this match. So getting to grips with the spin and how the cue ball reacts to certain shots.
Foul. Neil Robertson, 7.
Even a again, yeah, just playing it with a trace of left-hand side, and the cue ball sort of pushes in thick towards the red, hence the thick contact.
He played at the Crucible in 2011. Andrew Pagett lost to Jamie Cope, and it was a rather unfortunate incident in that, because of course with the two-table setup there, when one finishes, they get ready to bring the wall up. They have to turn the lights off first on that table, but whoever was responsible for that actually turned the lights off on his table that he was playing on. So very, very briefly they were sort of plunged into darkness.
It's a bit harsh, that, isn't it, really? The game's difficult enough, isn't it, without losing the lighting above the table. But just early on here, Andrew, he's played a few iffy shots, shall we say, and he's gotten away with them. Could easily a couple of times left it an easy starter for Neil. It's better contact. Seems strange to say, but just a simple safety shot like that can half settle you down. So that decent safety shot has left him a chance. Now he's got decent cue power, as Andrew. And again, wide of the mark this time. Oh, he's dicing with danger right now, isn't he? But that's another good result. Just looking at that nasty spot. I mean, I don't know how he manages to not leave a pot of some description. He's actually did very, very well, more than well. I mean, to get the cover on the red by the right corner and the one in the baulk line. In some ways, he's kind of passed the buck across to Andrew. Same problem. It's almost typical of the main tour these days. You can almost put a guy in too much trouble and force his hand. What a pot.
In the World Qualifying last season, Andrew Pagett made 3 centuries and was still beaten by Tepchara Nu. He actually made his highest break on tour, 1-2-2. And they were the only 3 centuries he made all season. He made them in 1 match and lost. So that just tells you that, you know, you see results. It doesn't always tell the whole story. You can perform at a really high level and still come out the wrong side of it.
Andrew Pagett, 3.
Well, a good initial pot didn't lead to much in the end, and he's left Robertson banging here.
One. Eight.
Neil Robertson, of course, also last week in that semi-final, he made 3 centuries against Joe O'Connor.
No.
And was beaten. O'Connor with that wonderful clearance in the 7th frame. And he has qualified Joe O'Connor. He's going to play Mark Selby, so that's a really interesting match now. Got all Leicester affair.
$60. $70. $24.
So Robertson had the initial chance. He lost position, but this is now another one to put his stamp on the match,
25.
get the first frame won. That players' series that we talk about, this is the cut-off for the first one, the World Grand Prix. Robertson last season got to the final of all 3 of them, and he won 2. He won the Players' Championship and the Tour Championship, and lost narrowly in the World Grand Prix. So clearly, it's a format that suits him, and he just wants to be in it. And if he wins this match, it's a big step towards
32.
that. He's 26th now, so he's in the bubble at the moment. But were he to lose, of course, he'd get no prize money, and then you would expect players to go past him.
Yeah, this red to right centre looks quite straightforward, but it's one of those you'd call it a half blind. Got to pick your spot and stick to it, commit to the shot. Very good.
33.
I do think actually that 7th frame in the match against Joe O'Connor last week is something we wouldn't have seen 20, 30 years ago, maybe from 1 or 2 players. He was hunting a century, in my opinion. You know, back in the day, you would think, right, just get the frame one, and of course he missed that. Not an easy red, but he played position when he didn't really have to, and paid the price. That's another thing about the modern game, isn't it? You leave anyone, even mid-ranking players, half a chance, you're liable to pay dearly for it. But this has been excellent. And another thing the top players do, isn't it? They get into the running quickly in these matches. Brand new cloth, obviously.
47.
Players find it difficult to settle in, but the top players are so used to it. Just checking the score, not far away from securing this opening frame.
$54.
Yeah, this red, as you see, his frame ball. Pagett potted a great red, but then missed the next one.
55.
One last push for Neil Robertson this year is Masters title defence coming up in January. We heard in the interview beforehand him saying that winning this title last year just gave him that early spark of confidence, and went on to win another 3 during
60.
the campaign. So, a chance to end the year on a high. He did that at the Scottish Open 5 years ago. That was
61.
the last event of the year. And he's one of those players, you just know he's going to win something. It's easy to say that, but the record speaks for itself. He's won a title of some sort every year since 2006. So it may well be this week.
68.
Of course, he has won the World Mixed Doubles this season with Mink Nutschert.
69.
Having taken a long break in the summer, that's why he's in the position he is on that one-year list, because he didn't play in the first 3 ranking events, but backs himself to go deep in tournaments with every justification. And now he will be hunting a century, won't he? That's what's on his mind here.
74. $75.
Well, the exhibition started, it would seem, very early on. What a great shot that was, not just to pop the green, but to get on this red to the middle.
79.
He's just refusing to leave the table without making a century.
Yeah, astonishing
83.
pot, wasn't it? So the ideal start and the end for Neil. A couple
85.
of problems early on, but when he gets in close like this, he can look unstoppable, as we know. Just on that, talking about the Grand Prix and all that, the Player Series, all those to come. A lot of players on the tour want to be in them, get a few ranking points here, but the point is with him, it's titles he wants to win, isn't it? It's not just, you know, 5,000, 10,000 points here and there. He's looking for the big prizes.
92.
Yeah, and I think certainly with regards to the Tour Championship, which is for the top 8, he feels he should be in it. He would say, I am one of the best 8 players in the game. I should be there. And, of course, he's the defending champion. Anyway, that will sort itself out. Right now, he needs this pink to open the match with his 22nd century of the season.
103.
Well, it was a great green, wasn't it, to recover not just the pot, but, as I say, position on the red, which, by the way, was not a gimme either to the middle. Neil Robertson looking good here.
110 in the first
As he
range.
starts his title defence with a clearance of 110. Andrew Pagett already has a bit to think about. So Neil Robertson off and running, and we can show you what's been happening this season. It's been quite a busy season already. Luca Brissell won the first event. That was in the height of summer. Feels very different right now, doesn't it? But that was there was a heat wave on when he won the Championship League in Leicester. Karen Wilson, the European Masters, that was in Germany in August. And then we had, in a way, the real start of the season, because the tournament started to come thick and fast. We had Ryan Day, of course, winning the British Open. He beat Mark Allen in the final there. Allen, of course, was going to come good a couple of times, as we see. Ronnie O'Sullivan in Hong Kong. Great tournament that, with 9,000 people watching the final live in the arena. Then Mark Allen, as I say, the Northern Ireland Open and the UK Championship, back-to-back ranking titles for him. Last we heard, he has made it to the mainland, and he's on his way to Brentwood for his match later on at 7 against Mitchell Mann. Champion of Champions was Ronnie O'Sullivan. That was a terrific final against Judd Trump. Trump made a maximum, but O'Sullivan, again, a big invitation title for him. And as we know, of course, just 8 or 9 days ago, Gary Wilson beating Joe O'Connor 9-2 in that Scottish Open final to become the latest first-time ranking event winner. The question is, will we get another one this week? So they're the winners so far this season, and, of course, plenty more to be added to that roll of honour. And I'm sure Neil Robertson will get on that at some point, certainly with the standard he's already produced in this match. And there was a great shot to just recover the situation here. He was just determined to make the century, and he just couldn't have played that any better. Fantastic pot, and carried on the break and made 110. Worth seeing again. So already looking good.
Thank you. The second frame, Neil Robertson.
Neil Robertson's 110 clearance has given him the opening frame as he starts the defence of his English Open title, the third leg of the home nations this season. He got to the semi-finals of each of the first two in Belfast and most recently in Edinburgh. Judd Trump, Jackson Page follows this match. That could be a great spectacle. Don't think it's going to be safety dominated. And then tonight, Ronnie O'Sullivan plays the young Belgian Ben Mertens. Karen Wilson takes on the 12 times women's world champion Rhian Evans.
One.
We're seeing again, brilliant pot. Bit unlucky actually, just to drift onto the... I mean, from here in the yellow, if you play the pot, the cue ball should get just a top bump of the middle pocket. Yeah, that's exactly what he got, but does the red go?
3.
It's tight, but possibly. Obviously not. That's the one thing about snooker
Andrew
watching
Pagett,
it, isn't it? For
3.
anyone, there are sort of vantage points on the table where if you land the shot, the players change, but the game doesn't. You know, you sort of have memory of things, and cue ball on that line, you play the yellow plain ball, it's top bump of the middle pocket. Just trying, if he can, he's trying to get to the extreme edge of the cue ball and play the shot to nothing.
One.
He's half held his hand in apology there. I wouldn't apologise just yet. Maybe if the pink goes in, but this is a tough shot if he takes it on. Especially as he have to play it with a little bit of pace to get the cue ball out of there somehow.
Andrew Pagett, 1.
Yeah, as you say, he's apologised, but the pink's not in. He's been getting in, hasn't he? He's been getting in with some good pots, but just not making anything from the opportunities. Might be a plant in the middle of that lot. What are you looking at? That's the one.
One.
Yeah, the main thing obviously was the pot. Now he can't get this plain ball. Is it worth the risk playing the swerve? The other problem is on a brand new cloth, it's so difficult to judge. I want to play it with a lot of right hand side. Almost spin the black in. Good pot.
Referee there, Olivier Martelli, was like a sort of slip fielder, wasn't he? He had to
8.
obviously be close in to make sure Robertson didn't flick a red. Keeping close watch.
Nine.
Just thinking back, I mentioned that I played a final many years ago here against Jimmy in the Matchroom League. Back then, obviously it was only, it might have been the semis and the final. We went down and played the weekend. You get half an hour or so on the table. There's been sort of talk about that, isn't there, with sometimes, that, especially as this tournament goes on, you know, someone will play in the quarters or whatever, maybe even the semi-final, to play a top player, and they've not played on this main table. There's an argument for whether or not a player should get 10 minutes or so just on it, because the main table plays that bit differently. I'm not saying that should be the case, but it used to be, albeit not in ranking events. But the point is, for someone like Andrew Pagett, coming in cold, so to speak,
20.
you just don't get any table time to settle into the match, get a feel for conditions. And of course, now that Neil's up and running and in good stroke, the uphill battle that obviously he was going to face from the start seems more of an uphill battle now.
$23. $30. $31.
Well, he sort of bullied his way into this frame in a way, didn't he? The plant and then the good black as well. And now you can just see the cogs whirring in his mind, sorting out a plan to kill the frame off and do so with another big break.
$38. $39.
Yeah, played that nicely. That was the real benefit of a new bed cloth as well. And obviously the cushions, they play soft, so you could hit that shot. And the confidence that the cue ball wasn't going to release and cover the pot in the black. So well set now for 2-0.
54. 55.
Just got great focus, Robertson, when he gets out there and just sort of switches into this ultra-competitive mindset.
60. 61.
So the black for 2-0. Pagett has had chances, he's had openings, but hasn't made anything from them yet. Robertson then looking for century number 2 of the match.
'69.
Brings that red off the cushion. He once won a best of 7 with 4 centuries against Ahmed Saif Qatar, who didn't score a point actually.
'84.
Double to keep it going. Well, he's still got a chance. He's still got a chance. Look at that.
'87. Thank you. '88.
So the fluke, obviously a big help in terms of making the century, but the frame was well won by then.
95. '97.
Well, he needs the green, and he will have started the match with back-to-back century breaks.
100. $104. 109. 115.
There was a time when in the first round you thought, well, they might turn up feeling a bit rusty, not quite fine in the corner. Neil Robertson has emphatically hit the ground running. Breaks of 110 and 122, halfway already to round 2 of this English Open. Now, of course, last year in the final, he beat John Higgins from 8-6 down, 9-8. And Higgins in action here this afternoon against Gerard Green. Higgins has won the first frame, and as you can see, 16 points in front in frame 2. All 4 tables are live on Discovery Plus. You can watch all the matches here, every shot if you want to. And Higgins just looking to get going this season, really. It's not been very successful so far. Lost that extraordinary match to Jamie Jones in Scotland, who sort of out-Higginsed him in a way. He won a frame after a couple of snookers and just sort of pulled it out the fire when it looked unlikely. But Higgins in front there. Now, Marco Fu, it's always good to see him. Of course, we didn't see him during the COVID time, and he's playing one of the English wildcards here. This is young Lewis Uller. This is actually a preliminary round match, so it's the round before round one, if that makes any sense. It's two English wildcards. Callum Beresford's the other one. And Fu has won the first frame there, but great experience for his opponent. He's been invited in, as happens in all the Home Nations events. This is the other one. Now, Callum Beresford has won the first frame against Ryan Thomason, who's a good friend of Robertson from Australia. So Beresford, one of the two English wildcards, 1-0 up and 42 points in front in frame 2. Just to reiterate, this is to get into round 1 proper, the last 1 to 8. There you can see all the 4 tables in a row, and if you've got a ticket today, then you're going to see a galaxy of stars. A lot of people wrapping up warm, though, because it's not maybe the warmest venue ever.
Thank you. The third frame, Andrew Pagett.
We're here on day 1 of Snooker's English Open in Brentwood in Essex, and Neil Robertson already producing the goods. 110, 122, 2 clearances, 2-0. Last week, he and Ryan Thomason, the other Australian professional, went to a local primary school to demonstrate their skills to the children there, and it went down a storm. It was good to see him doing that.
Foul.
Well, the wrong ball's gone in. It's a surprise, isn't it, when Robertson misses a long pot? I mean, it wasn't easy, obviously, but he just pots so many of them. But yeah, it was a good initiative. World Snooker Tour organised that, and hopefully some of those kids can come along this week. If they're given time off, I guess.
I think he's also one of those guys and players, isn't he? Neil likes to take in the signs and the sights and sounds of places that he goes, like Edinburgh the other week, and was it in Edinburgh Castle and all that sort of stuff. It's a good thing if, you know, a lot of players, I think, go to tournaments and don't do that kind of thing. I think, you know, he's a guy who wants to learn about that sort of stuff. He's up in the castle, which I've been many times myself. We went and did see Mons Meg, the cannon, the big cannon up there, and he sort of hits the ball like a cannon himself, actually, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he's one of the players on tour who's best at sort of switching off from the pressure around a tournament. And like you say, exploring and doing other things rather than sort of chewing his fingernails about the next match he's going to play. He doesn't do that. Quite an analytical character. Quite often we watch his matches back to just pick up on things he's been doing. So far, I think he'll be more than happy with what he'll be watching.
Yeah, I missed out actually last weekend getting a chance to have a little walk up the Royal Mile in Edinburgh with Neil and have a chat about things, but there was some football thing on, and Australia were playing, so that kind of put the kibosh on that one. Yeah, here we go then, talking about sort of cannonball stuff. This is the type of thing. There you go. Not a problem.
One. Six.
And it's beginning to get that feel, isn't it, now that, as I say, he's in stroke, and this is where his opponent can be forgiven for thinking, I'm a bit of a bystander here, just sitting in the chair watching Neil doing his thing. You think best of 7, you prepare as best you can and go out and right, get this right, do this, do that, all the prep, and then players like Neil just take over. That thumping long red to get this started.
Yeah, it's pretty intimidating, isn't it? Because he just has such authority in the way he walks around the table, the way he addresses each shot.
21.
Yeah, even that shot there, it's almost a brand of snooker that, I mean, I know Judd can do it, maybe one or two others, but no need whatsoever to go into the bunch there. It's almost like setting the stall out early in the frame. I want another century. Probably does. Well, we know he does. That's what he wants, but so aggressive.
Well, Stephen Hendry says that one of the most important facets of a successful player is to be greedy, to not actually just settle for, okay, I've made 2 centuries, let's make 4. Never be quite satisfied, and don't rest on your laurels.
Just gonna check it. $25.
Those reds spread nicely, aren't they? But in some ways they're sort of covering one another, so he's just working out the best colour to attack them. Probably
26.
top side of blue, but I think he's going to have to play a cannon. The red that's second to the left as we look, that would be a good cannon. He'd be really unlucky not to be on one if he played that. That's what he's looking at. The 1 second from the left. And if you miss it and get the outside wing ball, then fine.
$31.
He's doing a bit of housework here. Get the green back up the table. He doesn't like it down here. You want to get
32.
it. That's what they're like. The green shouldn't be down here. Let's get it back up the table where it should be.
Green ball. 35. 36.
Conditions look good as well, which obviously is going to aid scoring, and it's a credit to the table fitters. Every venue has a different set of challenges, and of course the weather as well, you know, will play its part, but the table looks to be running nicely.
40.
There's the scene here in Brentwood, 4 tables.
Thank you. 44.
Well, really, he's not doing anything wrong yet, has he?
50.
Missed a long pot in the last frame, but
51.
he's been in like this. He's looked really, really good. Every chance to make it 3-0 with 3 centuries.
$58. 59.
'So we'll need one more red after this black.
$66.
Yeah, it's going to be something of a stretch. Gonna get some furniture out. Extension in the spider, probably. As we know, the pot's no problem if you just sort of birdie the red in and leave the cue ball in the cushion. Almost well, not unmissable, but as we know, he's looking for another ton, so he's going to have to work the cue ball, which means he's got to get his hands a little higher if he's going to work the cue ball. As tall as he is, it's kind of not easy to see this shot when he eventually gets to addressing it. You'll see that left hand, it'll be quite high up.
It's quite an operation, this, isn't it? Obviously, can't afford a foul here. Yeah, he's done about as well as he could there. As you say, it wasn't just satisfying his frame ball, he wanted to get on the black as well. Referee keeping close watch.
67.
big shot on this pink to keep the break going. Not to beat.
Neil Robertson, 67.
So 67, and Pagett, I'm sure, will play on here. 63 behind with 59 on. And he's annoyed, isn't he? He wanted another century.
One.
Not that many chances so far, really, Andrew. But he has potted 3 out of 4 long red attempts. But it's all about the cue ball, isn't it? Not all about the cue ball, but most of it is.
9.
And that's where he's sort of faltered early on now. Somehow find a way to pick another red off. Ball's not lost in this frame just yet. Try and play a good positional shot, get nice and close to the red. See there again, lost the cue ball. He's not getting it on the button where you need it.
60.
Well, it seems to exacerbate the problem, doesn't it, when you can't get the cue ball where it needs to be.
Andrew Pagett, 16.
That was bang in the middle of the pocket. And that ends the frame.
Neil Robertson, 1.
Or at least should do. Pagett's coming back 48 in it. The red being on gives the chance of the free ball. That's his thinking here. But even with that, it's still a tall order. Especially if the white goes in.
One.
Well, that really is the end of the frame. So Robertson, he was annoyed not to make a third century, but overall playing superbly. But he knows after what happened in Scotland that even with that you can still lose. So he needs to stay on the front foot. I'm sure he will do.
7.
Try and get this match won in the next frame.
9.
Get himself into round 2 of this English Open. Lei Pei Fan of China will be his next opponent. He came to the qualifying
12.
a few weeks ago. So Pagett, well, he knew it was a tough assignment today, and I suppose you hope that
16.
the leading player, in this case Robertson, will struggle. He hasn't done. It's been the opposite.
$21. $27.
The reigning English Open champion looking good on day 1. Neil Robertson. A frame from the last 64. He's had breaks of 110, 122 and 67 to lead 3-0.
Thank you. The fourth frame, Neil Robertson to break.
So Neil Robertson now looking to get this match wrapped up, and the way he's played, you would certainly fancy that. Andrew Pagett has had the odd chance here and there. That's all it's been, but not capitalising on those chances. Just handed the initiative in each frame to Neil Robertson. The problem is these are short matches, you know, there's not a lot of time really to settle into conditions. Even here, he's got to be careful, hasn't he? There's reds out in the open. Good to see so many people here. The weather isn't nice, and it's not warm in the arena either. There's a lot of coats being worn. We started the season at the Championship League in Leicester in a heat wave. It seems a long time ago now. But great to see everybody here in this snooker hotbed.
More of a snooker cold bed by those pictures, wasn't it? Yeah, hopefully well, certainly Neil Robertson doing his best to warm the crowd up with the way he's played so far. On he's off again. I mean, the thing about the way he's playing or played so far today, you sometimes talk about having an effect on your opponent. This is exactly why that can happen. And it's almost like Andrew knows the consequences of Neil getting in close. So far, there's been little, if anything, that he can do about it. Black on to right corner, so if this red disappears, it's another decent chance.
7.
Played that lovely, actually.
40.
To get straight or just low straight in this red. There, it's just
50.
low straight. Everything in the open now.
$22. $23.
Well, he's been utterly clinical today, and we heard in the interview beforehand that he doesn't as such really rank the tournaments. He just wants to win every match of every tournament, and in particular, of course, win the title. Every season we see him doing really well, and we go to the World Championship, and he's often one of the big favourites, and of course hasn't won the title since 2010.
31.
I'm sure those questions will be bubbling up around April again. Can he win his second World Crown this season? %96 pot success, so
38.
it's a great figure for a round one match. Maybe he just wants to get the match out of the way quickly so he can get back into the warm. Maybe that's the the policy.
$39.
Yeah, standard overall is that good in well, recent years, recent seasons, but the other thing you can almost, I think, safely say is that he never looks out of form. He might look out of rhythm at times, partly because of the strength of his opponent now and again. But
46.
actual form, because of the technique that he's got, he never looks out of it in that department. It's just rhythm more than anything that he's searching for,
47.
it seems, which he's obviously found this afternoon. Of course, once upon a time that it was Stephen Hendry sort of
52.
commented about his cue ball and all that sort of stuff. You know, those days are long gone now. When he gets in this type of position, you
53.
would almost never question the shot that he does play. I think the only time that actually he do that is when he tries to chase a century, perhaps when he shouldn't. But his actual shot selection itself is as good as anyone probably ever been.
59.
Yeah, and he plays every pot like he fully expects to get it.
60.
He's got great self-confidence, as I suppose you would do with the cue action he's got. He's a proper champion of our sport. And he's about to kill this off. He's a couple of balls away, as you see.
66.
And the likelihood is it will be with his third century. And I know what he'll say afterwards. He'll say, I should have had 4. Because he won in frame 3 as well. So
67.
hours playing time.
$74. $75.
Yeah, it's an action, isn't it? It's a technique, it's everything about it that it's almost like at times he's playing with a different deck of cards to what everyone else has got to play with.
80. $81.
Said earlier that Andrew Pagett, unfortunately, this afternoon has been basically a bystander. And since Neil set off at the early stages of that first frame, the century he made, it's been the case ever since. Brilliant performance.
87. 88.
Well, he's missed the black, so
88.
no third century.
Frame
He'll have to make do with 88. He's won this match in just 62 minutes. It was as one-sided as it sounds. Breaks at 110, 122, 67, and 88. Neil Robertson gets his English Open title defence off with a 4-0 win.